Welcome to the Fight with Depression podcast, the podcast for people who want to improve their mental health. My name is Christopher Boussard, and if you have been with me on this journey the last few episodes, we have been talking about doing the right thing. And last episode, last week, we were I was talking about a few examples, gave a couple examples of when people actually do the right thing. And so today, I think I'm going to give you a couple more stories, but these are going to be kind of a couple stories about people who did not do the right thing. And I don't want to be too specific because, there's kind of some issues that go along with that. But I'm going to be pretty vague, and maybe you will have an idea of what I'm talking about. Now, when I say I'm going to be vague, I'm more saying I'm going to be vague about specific companies or organizations that I am talking about. And I will tell you guys a couple stories, so let's get into it here. And I think it's kind of funny that when I was coming up with or thinking about some of the stories to talk about, I realized that a lot of the stories that Molly and I have begin with, that one time when our car broke down, or that one time when our car was broken. Seems to be how it's gone for us, is a lot of broken cars. So I'm kind of hoping that she will be on upcoming episode with me, and maybe we can come up with these stories together. But just kind of wanted to talk about some issues that Molly and I ran into. So one of the things is that we were dealing with is, we purchased a new car from a well-known and nationwide chain, I'm going to say, organization that we thought was pretty reputable, and we purchased this vehicle, and noticed, and we did have the warranty. We noticed that we were having some issues, and so we said, okay, we'll bring it in here. And there was a couple things that they were like, oh yeah, we fixed this and we fixed that, and we took it back home, and we were still having those exact same issues. Took it in there, and they're like, oh yeah, we got to order some more parts. So we were like, okay, well, that's fine. Just do what you need to do. And one of the things that we realized is we kept having to add brake fluid. We're like, why are we? There has to be a leak. Why we should be having to add brake fluid? And they kept telling us, oh no, it's fine. We don't see a leak or anything like that. And this kept going on and on, of course, until our warranty ran out, and then we ended up, taking it somewhere else for what we were hoping would not be a large problem, and it turned out to be a lot bigger of a problem than we thought it was going to be. They told us that they were going to have to completely, pull the engine out to fix it, and we said, okay, it is what it is, I guess. It sucks, but it sucks that it's not under warranty. So they got in there, pulled it out, and they said, you guys have had this one issue for a long time. It's had this leak, and it's been going on for a while, and it's pretty obvious it's been going on for a while. So we went back to the quote unquote reputable company that we are now telling people they should never purchase a vehicle from, because they don't give you the maximum attention for your car that you should get. So anyway, we had this work done, and I went back and I said to the company that we bought it from, said, this is what they found. You guys told us that you fixed this problem, but it's obvious you didn't. You just kind of bandaged it up. And the manager came and said, no, that's not the case. It wasn't leaking because we would have seen that it was leaking. And I said, well, that's not true. If you got in there to fix the problem, you would have seen it, but you didn't. So that's why. And he said, well, no, we would have seen it when we changed the oil. So long story short, I actually went to the car manufacturer and asked them about it. Sent out this email, said, hey, this is what's going on. If this leak was happening, would you notice that during a routine oil change? And they came back and, of course, said no. Your story's valid. That whatever they were saying is actually not true. They would not have seen that, and it would have been just leaking. Pretty much like the company that we brought it into for the large repairs was telling us. And so we went back and forth with the car dealership that sold us the vehicle. And I said, I'm not getting anywhere, so I'm going to go to corporate. And of course, I get in touch with their corporate office. And what do they say other than, well, no, whatever the manager tells you, we stick behind it. I said, well, the manager was, incorrect in what he was telling me. And this is, I gave them a bunch of facts and everything and said, even I got this from the manufacturer. And they said, no, we're not going to look at it. We stick behind the manager, basically saying your loss. And lo and behold, we look into it a little bit more and found that there were some honest mechanics who worked for that company. And they said that they had left because this was a known practice at this organization, at this nationwide company. And that's their practice is they just bandage it up. When they get a new vehicle in, they essentially bandage it, throw it out on the lot, and they sell it to the customer. If it comes back for warranties, they keep bandaging it, and that's what it is. And these mechanics just said, I can't deal with that. It is I cannot, in good conscience, work for a company like that. And I applaud those people who do that. There's many organizations out there, and it's not just car dealerships and camper dealerships. I'll get into that here in a second. But anywhere, and if there's somebody who's willing to stand up for their beliefs and stand up for their integrity and say, I cannot work for an organization who's going to take advantage of other people just for their own benefit, then I'm leaving. I applaud those people for doing that, because there is, and we see that a lot, and I'm dealing with something similar right now, and I'm not going to get into that at all. But there are companies that they will take advantage of people for profit, which should not be any surprise to anybody. There are a lot of other organizations that take advantage of people for profit and for not doing the right thing. And it is sad to see that it just seems like it's kind of getting worse. And, I think that's one big reason people like to go with local, small quote unquote mom and pop shops, right? Is because they have to do what's right. And I've said it before, like, Molly is in real estate. And if she does not do the right thing, she's not going to get more clients. If you're not doing the right thing, it will eventually come back to you. But the issue is that there's people, there's companies, whatever, that there's no consequence for doing the wrong thing. They actually benefit from it. If you listen to my last episode, and I titled it "Don't Get Punched in the Face," there are people who don't have those consequences, right? They're hiding behind their corporation, and you can't get in touch with these people, and they're basically just hiding. You ask me, I think that's cowardice, such as when we purchased our new camper. So again, we went to a nationwide, well-known camper dealership and, thought it was going to be a good experience. And it was. Buying the camper was a good experience. They were knowledgeable and helpful getting us the camper. Took it home, and we had it less than a year and noticed that the roof was leaking. So we took it into them, and they basically blamed us for the roof leaking. And they wanted to repair the roof, and we asked if we could come in and kind of watch what they wanted to do, because what they wanted to do was tear out the ceiling in the camper. They wanted to tear out the windows. We said, okay, can we come and watch the progress? And they said, no, you're not allowed on the repair floor for safety reasons. And okay, can we get pictures, some sort of progress? No, we can't give you that. So it got a little fishy to us. So we said, okay, thank you, but no thank you. We're gonna take it somewhere else. And we went to pick up our camper, and apparently one of the staff members, when they decided they were gonna, who knows where they were transporting it, because we just dropped it off there, and they ran over one of the wheel chocks and broke it. But instead of letting anybody know, they shoved it into the bumper and left it there. And I didn't notice, I wouldn't have noticed, except for I'm used to when we teach driving the fire engines, we always say you got to do a 360. So you do a walk around the vehicle before you leave. And I was doing that with our camper. I wanted to make sure everything was buttoned up, make sure that nothing was loose hanging around. And I did my little 360 the camper. And I said, well, there's a wheel chock shoved into the bumper here. And lo and behold, it was ours. So I went and asked to talk to the manager. And of course, he wasn't there. And this is no surprise to us, because we had been talking to them several times trying to get in touch with the manager, and he kept ducking us. It's amazing how many meetings that guy had for nothing getting done. But anyway, so said, okay, pass this message along to your manager. And so they said, okay. Well, we left. We took it to another local camper repair shop and took it to this guy, and turns out a lot of what the dealership was telling us was actually inaccurate about our camper. And he got up there, took a look at the roof, and he said, well, of course it's leaking because they didn't put the right sealant on the roof. You're not supposed to put silicone sealant on the camper. And they said that they resealed it before we purchased it. Well, they put a silicone sealant on the roof, and it dried and cracked from the weather and started leaking. So we called tried to talk to the manager, and he of course wasn't there, didn't respond. So we went to, again, took it up the chain of command and tried to take it to the company. And they told us that, once again, they stick behind what the manager says, that it was our responsibility that the roof was leaking. I told them they put on the wrong material, and they had no answer for that, and basically just said, nope, we stick by whatever the manager says. I said, well, we can't get in touch with the manager. And they said, well, sorry, but we can't help you. So I kind of wonder why we're seeing this. And, Molly and I had talked, and it seems like, I hate to blame COVID, right? But it seems like ever since COVID, when people were not in person, they were at home, everybody got used to dealing with people hiding behind a computer. And instead of going in and speaking with somebody, you talk to them on the phone or through email or text message or whatever. So there's not that face-to-face interaction. And people now, the car issue was well before COVID. So that's not an excuse at all. I'm just saying that It seems to be more prevalent now. But people are hiding behind things, and you ask for you ask for information, you ask for some help, you ask for something, and people just avoid the problem. And instead of addressing the issue, they just completely avoid it. So when I was years ago, I managed an urgent care, and we would get a couple complaints with doctors, and it seems like a lot of the complaints that we got were, well, the doctor didn't give me antibiotics. I was sick and went into the doctor, and they didn't give me antibiotics, and it was in a college town, and we also got a lot of college students that would come in because they didn't have a doctor in the area if they were out of state or anything like that, or just not local. So they would come into the urgent care when they were sick, and their parents would call us and say, my kid was in there and they were sick, and your doctor didn't give them antibiotics. And so I would get the message and look through the chart, take it back to the doctor who was working at the time. Sometimes it was the same doctor, and sometimes it wasn't. We had some rotating staff and everything, and the doctor would review the chart and say, yes, I think this is appropriate treatment, or, okay, well, if they're not getting better, then let us know, and we'll see what we can do, or whatever it was. But it was very uncomfortable. I'm going to say, to call people, because when I'm not a doctor, I don't know all of the technicalities that they do, but so all I'm going with is what I know and what the doctor is telling me. And I would call, and there's people yelling at me, and I mean literally yelling at me, telling me that I don't know their child. If they go untreated, they're going to get a bacterial infection, and their doctor usually gets them antibiotics. And so, would it have been a lot easier for me to just avoid calling these people? Absolutely. I could have just let it go, because if it's a viral infection, that person's eventually going to get better, and just let it go, right? Well, I'm feeling better. I guess I don't need to keep calling. So could I have done that? Could I have taken the route of these corporations and just said, nope, this is how it's going to be. Sorry, I'm not going to address this. I'm just going to avoid the call, and tell my staff, hey, if this person calls, I'm not here. It would have been so much easier. But what was the right thing to do? The right thing to do was to talk to these people. And I can only think of maybe a handful. I could probably count on one hand how many times that conversation actually had to get turned over to the medical director, because sometimes it's like, okay, yeah, if this wasn't done right, or if they oversaw, or this was an oversight or something like that, or the person just wasn't happy with my explanation, I would say, okay, I'm not a doctor. The doctor who saw the patient is, not here, or somebody looked at the chart and said that this is appropriate. The person's still not happy. Okay, I'm going to go send this to the medical director. But a lot of the times, just a conversation, just to clarify everything, and say, okay, yeah, I do see your perspective. How about maybe, where is your child now? Okay, they're at school. Can they come back? And the doctors that's on staff is just gonna, look at them real quick. And if you're saying that it's an ear infection or whatever it is, we'll make it right. Is basically, it's so much easier than to completely just take advantage of people. However, it may not be cost efficient. And that's when these companies go, nope, I am not going to lose out on money to do the right thing and to help out the customer or the patient or the person, because that's what they are, is people. And I think that's what we're missing out on, is that's a person that we're dealing with, because what companies see, what these people see, is it's a dollar amount. If I pay you, I I retain less money. And that's what it boils down to. And I think a lot of what drives people is money, possessions, and whatever it is, instead of doing the right thing. Pride. Does pride get in my way? Do I have to admit that I was wrong? Do I have to admit something that I'm uncomfortable with just to do the right thing? So that's what it boils down to, is your integrity. What is greater? Your love for your pride, your love for the money that you're going to get, the love for the possessions that you'll get, or the recognition? Or is doing the right thing more important to you? Is retaining your integrity more important to you? So anyway, that's just a couple thoughts. Like I said, I think I'm gonna try and look at having Molly on one of these episodes with me, and she's a little bit better storyteller than I am too. And by the way, she used to be a radio DJ, so I'll see if I can get her on here and have her do her DJ voice. So we'll see how that goes. Maybe you guys can stay tuned for that. I'll see if I can talk her into doing that for me. So anyway, just keep doing the right thing. Go out there, treat people with respect. Treat people the way that you think you should treat them, the way that they ought to be treated. Maybe don't always deserve to be treated, but treat them with respect. Do the right thing. So until next time, God bless.